Hello everyone, thanks for joining. I hope you appreciate the amount of work I put into this entry slide. It took me so long to put my face on top of one of New Kids on the Block. There's my intro. Happy days. No, okay, so we're going to talk about my blog. So for those of you that do not know me, my name is Craig. I work at A&S, which is amongst a partner in the UK. I'm a low-code architect, which means that we not only build solutions, we also try and help people build their own solutions and change their whole ecosystem to adopt low-code. It's good fun. I'm a blogger and also a super user on the forums, which was something I got 6 weeks ago, I think. I know Parvez, you're also at the same time, so it's nice to have that little super user badge. And again, actually, that's kind of a good springboard into this topic and the amount of confidence that blogging has then given me to do other things in the community. So we're going to touch on that over the course of this session. The agenda today, very, very simple. Why am I decided to do blogging? The whole mindset process around, I've spent years doubting myself to do something that I've always wanted to do. And I'm sure there's lots of other people that will have similar thoughts. And I think since I've started my blog, other people have reached out to me saying, hey, I thought the same. So I'm going to share some tips around what people told me in terms of how to change my mindset, how to look at things differently, how to start contributing and whatnot. And then I'll end on some practical tips. There's a whole heap of stuff that I've not added on there, but hopefully a few things to kind of get started with if anyone else is sort of thinking of blogging and whatnot. So why blogging? We're going to touch on this a little bit in a minute in terms of being inspired. For like 15 years in tech, I've been inspired by the people blogging, sharing their knowledge, sharing their ideas. So when I have been stuck in the last 15 years, I can go on the internet and find what I need. I've always been inspired by that, other people sharing their knowledge that helped me out. I've always enjoyed creative writing. I don't know why. It's just something I've really enjoyed. I find that I'm quite happy with a pen and a paper. I used to be in a band as well when I was in my teens. I used to, well, I say sing. I screamed because I was in a metal band, but I wrote lots of all the lyrics and I had lots of feedback even back in my late teens, early 20s about, hey, your lyrics are really good. You've got a talent for writing. So I must have something that's pretty good in terms of that. And whilst that image looks a bit extreme, in my head, I know I don't actually look or sound like Sloth from the Goonies. But in terms of my approach over the last sort of 10 to 15 years, it's been, well, I don't know if I'm right for YouTubing. I don't know if I'm right for anything kind of like this. And actually, blogging has given me the confidence to kind of like say, hey, let's go and do some speaker sessions. Let's go and do some other stuff. Let's start a YouTube channel. And actually, it's also taught me it doesn't matter what you look like, what you sound like. The community will embrace anyone who's willing to go and share knowledge. And that's something I never really kind of understood until I started doing it. Doesn't matter what you're doing or what story you got to tell. And again, we're going to cover some of that later down on this presentation. So yeah, I'm sure I don't look like Sloth from the Goonies. My wife might tell you otherwise, but yeah, up to a certain point, I've always thought, nah, it's just going to be blogging just for me, just to start with. And I think for most people, it's probably a good entry point in terms of trying to do some kind of contribution into a technical community. I was just sort of looking as well for, I don't know, maybe just for my own sort of satisfaction of how long I've been thinking about blogging. I didn't just sort of wake up at the beginning of this year and thought, oh no, I'm going to start doing a blog. As I said, I've sort of had a thought about doing blogs for a long time, and that's largely around the blogs that have always helped me. And I can always remember these 5 or 6 blogs. I don't know why. They're always at like pivotal points in my career. I can remember where I was, what I was doing, what role I was doing, what technologies I was working with. And so for my own benefit, I was like, well, actually, look at these cool people, what they've done and how they've helped me. Going right back to 2013, where I'm sure some of you might remember something called Coplex, which was like an open source thing where you could download a whole bunch of stuff. And that was the first thing that I got for a SharePoint 2013 content migration tool from Chris O'Brien. And he's actually got a blog to back it up and still go and find these things. Or promoting links in SharePoint, or doing some things in SharePoint Designer workflows. All these critical points where I wanted to do something, I didn't know how to do it. And there's a resource that, even though they probably need a bit of an update now, or they're no longer kind of relevant, these things are still on the internet. They're still there for people to find and use if they're still stuck in those technologies or stuck with the problems that I had. And I think, again, that kind of underlines why I think blogging or contributing is really cool, because there's always something somewhere for people to refer to go and get the knowledge they want. And actually it's quite cool to go and, like, you know, contribute your own bits to that as well. So it's just quite nice looking at that timeline, really, especially the bottom one, making a calendar of power apps. I know from my experiences, there's always, I can never quite remember how to do that whole thing off by heart. I always have to have that blog open just to remember like one little bit of code, or I've missed something. And again, those resources are always there. So, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I could kind of have those resources for other people? That's always been the mindset for blogging. The thing that's kind of blocked me most, and I'm quite happy to admit that on the surface, I think a lot of people meet me virtually or in person. Hey, I seem confident, full of beans, always joking, laughing around. But underneath that, I've had no end of confidence issues, not feeling like I'm good enough. And a lot of it might sound silly to some people, but then I look at all the content that's out there in the community, such as those blogs, and think, well, they're already saying the things that I would say. So what's the point? Or I'm not as good as those people, or yeah, people might think I'm rubbish. People might slag me off. People might do this. People might do that. And that's been my mental cycle for years, really. I think sometimes there's been like tangible points in your life where maybe blogging wasn't a good idea. Like, you know, when I had a newborn child knocking about, probably not going to do any blogging while I'm not going to get any sleep. It's probably not going to be a practical way to do it. But as I've sort of moved through life, I've found that the reasons not to do something grow as I've kind of grown in my professional career, and I've got more pressure on my shoulders in terms of responsibilities and family. I've naturally kind of got myself into quite a negative space. Um, I think it can be quite difficult sometimes to jolt yourself out of it. And it's really weird, having jolted myself out of it with the help of some other people, just how much of a difference that makes in terms of being positive and contributing to the community is wicked. Well, I'm always happy to admit the fact that I've been through a lot of these thought processes and more. And it's nice actually, as I started my blog, that I've engaged with other people that have kind of gone, yeah, I've thought like that too. And from leading on from this, I've had some really good conversations with people earlier this year, have helped me kind of switch my mindset around for the things you see on this screen here to completely turn it over the other way. Now, I think about a lot of the stuff you see on screen now. My experience counts. I think that's one of the first things that's always really has resonated with, a really good bit of advice that someone kind of gave to me earlier this year. We might be blogging about the same or similar things. There's a lots of blogs out there about application lifecycle management or how to build a power app. But the more experience that people are now getting in those fields, the more context and different contexts you can bring to the game. You might be a very similar message, but you can bring your own contract experiences or consultancy experiences, personal experience to the table. So you can kind of deliver those messages in a slightly different way that people might resonate with and understand. And I think that's always been something that I've taken on board the last few months, thinking, hey, you know what? I've got a place in this community because my experience is going to be different to Reza Durrani's or Shane Young's or whoever. And therefore, actually, what I've got to say does hold some value and it does count. Someone else said to me at the beginning of the year as well, there's always someone in the room that will learn. And this was a big thing for me because I always sit there beforehand and think, well, I haven't got to say anything that's new or that's fresh. But I think also when you come in to look at contributing to a community with vlogs or blogs, your target market for me, or for me, probably isn't Shane Young or Reza Durrani. My target market is people that are new to the Power Platform or new to the technologies. And actually, there's a really nice thought I've had in my head for a long time. I could be to someone today what Shane Young has been to me for the first 4 years of my Power Platform journey. In that right place, right time, you need someone who's going to be your go-to resource. Hey, that could be you. Hey, that could be me. And it's been nice in the last sort of 5 months. I've got this nice little collection of people that will regularly reach out to me and say thanks and ask me additional questions. And that's really cool. And actually, that was me 4 or 5 years ago. I'd be pinging up other MVPs or other contributors to kind of ask them questions and help me grow in my journey. And actually, there is a place for everyone to kind of do this kind of thing. You just don't necessarily have to compare yourself to the people that are already doing it because they're not necessarily your target market. They're not necessarily the people you need validation from. It's the people that are going to learn from your content. It's a big difference. Something else that's kind of resonated as well. I used to kind of say, oh, I ain't got time to do a blog. And then I sat down with, I'm sure some of you know Mr. Huntingford. If you know anywhere close to what his diary looks like, he is up at 5 every day in the gym. He's got a full day at work. He does community stuff in the evening. He flies all over the world delivering sessions. And I asked him, I was like, how the hell do you do all of this? Like, that to me is just mad. But then I compare to what I do in my free time. I sit on the sofa and I look through Instagram or Facebook or watch Netflix. Actually, I've got more time than I think. It's what do I do with that time? And actually, I was talking to my wife a few months ago, and actually, all I've done is swap one screen for another. I'm just looking at my desktop screen for a couple of hours every night, but I'm doing something productive with it. I'm writing down my thoughts, my experiences to try and help other people. And actually, that's way more fun for me and beneficial for others than, well, watching Netflix is sometimes fun, obviously, of course it is. But having that balance and doing something productive in my free time rather than just kind of vegging out. Again, it's been a big shift for me mentally to go, okay, now I've got a purpose. I want to go and blog about stuff. It's putting in the time to do it and not finding those excuses to not do something, I guess. So it's been a big shift, and that kind of came round in about April, I think, this year. And along with something else, it's that I've taken, and I'm sure lots of you have been involved in mentoring other people, maybe more likely to be in your own circles of work. You're helping other people build their own careers, whether that's their softer skills, whether that's their technical skills. And someone said to me in April, it's like, well, all you're doing is taking that ethos and just reaching out to more people. And sometimes it can be a simple point of view like that. It goes completely changed my outlook. I only think, well, I can only help people in my team. Maybe that's a comfort zone. Maybe they're people I trust. But actually, it's just taking out that ethos and just giving it to more people. If you know that you're kind of good at helping people evolve and build and increase their skills, chances are you're going to be successful when you start contributing to the community somehow. Yeah, and it doesn't really matter what kind of community it is, really. Like, it can be Power Platform, data, cross stitch, whatever it is. Chances are, if you've got something to say, put it out there. People are going to listen, and people are going to get benefit from it, and that's always important. Yeah. So as of that mindset shift, I've kind of gone from one extreme to the other. If you've been following my blog quite closely, I've been blogging every week now since middle of May. So I've literally gone from now I'm not doing it 15 years to just going straight in, all guns blazing. And yeah, I kind of wish I started sooner because I love it and it gives me the opportunity to meet people, to make some friends, talk about things that I've got in common. I know there's people on the call here that I know I've talked to about blogging, helping them get set up. And that's cool. If I've helped influence other people to kind of break down those mental barriers and take that step in, that's wicked. And I've also found mainly I've learned a lot of stuff, which is really cool because I think we can get kind of bogged down in the day job sometimes of, we've got to deliver for clients or customers or whatever else. And sometimes it's nice to take a step back and compile my own learning. I don't always get the chance to keep up to date with all the latest changes. And as we know, they're coming thick and fast for this week, especially. So actually just taking a couple of hours out every other night gives me an opportunity to learn, keep up to date with all the stuff that's changing the Power Platform, which is massive. And then I have the added benefit that I can go, hey, here's what I've learned, stick a blog out, share those experiences with people. So yeah, it's been fun. And I don't know why, I still doubt why people like my stuff, but they do. So I must be doing something right. And I'm sure other people will find that vibe as well when they get cracking. So some practical tips. I don't know, say some of these aren't necessarily practical, but they're just sort of things that I've found along the way. Again, I don't know everything when it comes to blogging, so these are just sort of the things that I found in the first sort of 5 months. If you're thinking about doing blogging, first thing I'd say is choose a platform. There's lots of different ones you can choose because you can go through, I think you can blog on LinkedIn, do LinkedIn articles. You can go through, is it Squarespace, Wix, they have their own pros and cons. I went the WordPress route, and that was largely because I got a friend who does WordPress stuff. So he just basically told me what to do. I'm not going to take any credit for that decision. But yeah, if you're going to start blogging, there's pros and cons of different platforms, different costs associated as well. Potentially, if you're going the route I've done, you've got hosting costs, you've got theming costs. But if you want to do it, pick somewhere to start. Seek help if you need it. I was chatting to someone today about WordPress add-ins and whatnot. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. Again, there's community, there's blogs. people doing stuff with WordPress or Squarespace or Wix that can help you. Reach out if you need to kind of work out how you need to get up and running, what the kind of things you need. There's plenty of expertise out there. Define your purpose and target audience. I think I kind of went through a little bit of that earlier. Again, my target market isn't necessarily the MVPs that have been contributing to the community for the last 5 or 6 years. My target market is the people that are new to the platform. Low code is expanding at a massive rate. There's content that's always going to be out of date, given how stuff rapidly evolves. There's always people coming in new. Those are my target market. I want to help people get to the same level of understanding that what most of us now have with the Power Platform or with other tools. That's my target market. Those are the people that I want to help. If you can define yours, some people go into way more technical stuff straight from the off. Hey, that's cool. You define your target market. You know your audience. You want to appease that audience. Know your GDPR. I don't fully know too much about this. Again, my friend who get me set up with all of this, he told me I needed all this stuff. But if you actually go and blog around all these kind of things, if you're in the EU, I think you need a privacy policy and a cookie warning, especially if you're taking subscribers. Now, there are obviously some blog hosts like LinkedIn. You don't have to worry about any of this stuff. I think there are some other hosts that will take care of this all for you. If you're going all out on yourself, WordPress, you'll need to consider, or not consider, you need to have a privacy policy. You need to have a cookie warning, again, especially if you've got subscribers. It's a boring thing. I don't pretend to know every single little thing about GDPR. And I think we're in a community where we're not going to dob each other in if we go, oh, he's not got a privacy policy on his blog. Regardless, I always just like to think, just sort of cover yourself. If those are requirements by law, just make sure your blog space handles them, whether automatically or whether you're doing any of those yourself. I also kind of approach this about, how am I going to blog? Am I going to be ad hoc, halfway, or all in? Again, I've always felt, for me, I think it's just the way my brain works. I like to plan ahead. You'll notice that, well, some of you, if you followed my blog, I've already done a series which had multiple posts about building a solution with my wife. I've just started another series, which is like 7 or 8. I wanted to go all in. I wanted to have a cadence of once a week. I know that's going to stop at some point soon, but I'm still trying desperately to kind of keep it up because it's fun. But just have an idea. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Every couple of weeks, once a month, whatever works for you. I would say then just try and stick to that, so you can then plan what you're going to post, what you're going to contribute. You can take your time, research it as well, and get the content together that you need. I always think that's a good kind of tip to kind of go, well, how often am I going to try and do a post, or what kind of things do I want to talk about? Don't underestimate the time like I did in the first month. Again, when you're going all in, there's a lot to blogging. It's not literally just open up a page and type. Maybe it is for some people. I think you only kind of, like videos, you only see the final product, don't you? You don't see all the editing and the cropping and all that other stuff that goes in. Blogging's not a lot different, to be fair. If you think about, you want to put images in, you want to put borders around things that people need to focus on, you want to crop them, you want to host them, you want to put in code snippets. Okay, well, you're probably going to need to have somewhere where you write that code to make sure it works and format it nicely so the end can put it in your blog. There's potentially a lot of work that kind of goes into it then. Proofreading again, before you then commit to the publish. So I think the more you do with just contributing in general, blogs or videos, the more you do, the quicker you get, because you sort of learn on the job. But certainly if you're starting out, don't underestimate the time. However much time you think it might take to put a blog post together, times that by 2 or 3 for the first couple until you start getting your rhythm in, I'd say. Know your hashtags. If you follow me across LinkedIn and Twitter, you'll know I try and use the same hashtags for most of my posts. So in the terms of the Power Apps world, we're looking at Power Addicts, Power Platform Connects, Power Platform. If you're like me, you might follow or search for hashtags so you can get kind of streamlined content on your device. I do that an awful lot. If you're in different industries, look for the relevant hashtags for what you need to focus on to capture your right target market. There's plenty out there for the Power Platform. I can't remember them all, but obviously happy to advise. I've got a list somewhere that I try and go through every week to try and make sure I capture the right ones. Stay on top of comments, I think, is really important. I've been very lucky that I've got lots of people that engage with my posts, either through the comments, through DMs, through comments on social media. I know there's a few here that regularly comment on my stuff, and I love it. It's wicked because I enjoy those interactions. There's some people who reply and make me think, oh yeah, maybe I didn't think about that. Make sure you try and stay on top of those. If you're going to start a blog or a vlog, don't ignore your comments. Those are people that are taking the time to read or view your stuff. They want to engage. Make sure you reply. Make sure you give them the same courtesy that they've given you in terms of engaging with your content. It's something I'll keep trying to pride myself on. Even if I'm kind of doing something with the family, I'll make sure I've got comments are covered, because I think to me that's very important, and it shows that as a good two-way relationship that you're building with your subscribers or your viewers. One of the last ones, my first couple of blogs, I perhaps got a bit too hung up on how many likes and shares I got on LinkedIn or Twitter. And then I kind of took a step back and thought, well, my social media behavior, when I'm scrolling down a feed, I don't always read everything, but I might like or share or repost something because I know it helps the algorithms for that particular person or that particular brand, whatever it is. The things I'm more interested in are the people who have actually taken the time to click on my link and go and read my blog and interact with it in some way. So I'm less worried about all the likes. I know they're good, and anyone please carry on liking my stuff, because I know it helps the algorithms and it helps extend my reach to help more people. It's wicked. But the things I really like looking at are Google Analytics and Microsoft Clarity. I've got both of those running across my blog site. Clarity on the left kind of gives you a bunch of hit counts. You can see heat maps, so you can kind of get recordings of when people hit your pages and what they're looking at and what they're clicking on. That's good for identifying dead links or things that haven't quite worked. I've spotted a few things through there that's helped refine my blog and my techniques. And then Google Analytics on the right. I'm sure most of you have probably seen this. I love this. I post every Tuesday morning, and I will have Google Analytics up for an hour after I've posted. And I love the sort of seeing all the dots all across the world. I just get a real buzz out of it because people have clicked on my blog and they're looking at my stuff. Now, I know that we can VPN in, so Jeff next door, he could be VPNing via India for all I know. I don't know. It might be completely skewed, but mentally, this is a real positive boost for me every week. That these are the people who have actually clicked on an article of mine and are reading it. And it's nice to kind of think, well, actually, look how far. If some of the 50% of those dots that are real, look at the reach that I can have just by putting an article up once a week or once a month or a video. There's going to be people all over the world that are potentially going to look at it and learn from it. And that, at the end of the day, is why I always try and help people in the community. We want to try and help as many people as possible. And the Google Analytics side of things is great for that, in terms of getting that confirmation of just how far your stuff can potentially reach, which is wicked. And the last point, have fun. And someone said to me a few months ago, they've taken a bit of a break back from content creation themselves. They've gone a bit quiet. It stopped being fun for them, so they took a step back. I would impart that knowledge onto everyone else as well. At the moment, this is, for me, it's fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. I wouldn't come on a VRT and talk about how wicked blogging is if I wasn't finding it fun. There might be times when I don't, and just take a step back. Don't be obliged to keep going out of repetition or fear that you might lose a few followers if you don't post next week. It's got to be fun at the end of the day, because as most contributions to communities are, they're in your spare time. They're not during work. You're giving up your own time to help other people. It's not mandatory. You're not getting paid for it. Make it as enjoyable as you want. And when it stops being enjoyable, take a step back. But that's the most important part. Have fun with it, because otherwise, what's the point? I'd say. And yeah, that's me. Finished rambling about blogging. I didn't expect to take as long as I have. But yeah, thank you for listening to me rambling on about blogging. I know there's a few other bloggers on the call. I don't know if anyone wants to kind of step up and share their experiences. I know there's a few, but we're keen to kind of hear different perceptions, how other people kind of got into it, if anyone's happy to share.
Hi, Craig.
Hello, how you doing, mate?
Oh, not bad, not bad. Thanks for that, mate. A lot of the things you said are kind of my experience as well, mainly around keeping it fun. So
Yeah,
I found towards the start of this year, I kind of put a lot of pressure on myself, and it was like I need to put one out every single Monday. And then I got busy one Monday. If I didn't do it that Monday, I put loads of pressure on myself. I have to get 2 out next week. And I didn't get 2 out, but the world didn't end. No one died. It's totally fine. But sometimes life gets in the way, and that's perfectly okay. So it's okay to take a break. I found the month of June was ridiculously busy for me as well. Just after I got my MVP, Sarah dragged me out in Edinburgh. I had a hangover for about a fortnight after it. Just did not have the time, and the world didn't end. When I started blogging again, people were paying attention to it. Anyone who was paying attention probably notices I haven't posted anything for about a month now, and that's totally fine. I think my point is, don't get too hung up on doing stuff constantly when you've got other things on. People will still listen when you're done.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's also impact, isn't it? I think for me, I'm sure for you, putting a few blogs out there gives you confidence to do other stuff. So actually, if you do go down to once a month or once every 2 months, the quality of that post or that interaction with the community can have so much more impact than if you were doing it every week anyway. Because if you're a fresher, better Stuart when you post or when you do something, people can get the benefit of that. And that's really important, right?
Yeah, definitely. I've actually been working on my next post for about 3 or 4 weeks now, and it's just about finished, but it's something I'm really excited to put out. Whereas I found when I was forcing myself to post every week, it was becoming like a job. And when it's not fun, you just don't put out the same quality of stuff when you've really, really given it your all and polished off the rough edges. And it just feels much nicer. And people will still read it even if it is a pile of shite, but people will get a better reaction if it's not. And from a confidence point of view as well, if you think it's shit, how do you expect other people to like it?
I'd say sometimes putting a piece of shit out there is actually quite good because some people comment on it and you get a load of engagement. So being perfect all the time is not great.
Yeah.
But being perfect all the time is impossible anyway, right? Like you cannot be perfect. I have been posting every week. Not every post is rocketed through the roof. I think there's also a perception
just ask Charlie Phipps, he'll tell you yes. He is a liar though.
There's a post, there's a talk or a poem. I'm looking for the post now, but I can't find it. Steve Jones, the guy behind SQL Server Central, voice of the DBA. I mean, if you're in SQL, you probably know who Steve Jones is. He does a talk, a 20-minute session about blogging, about technical blogging. And one of the things he recommends is before you even start, if you're thinking about it, build up a backlog of about 10 blog posts that you want to put out. And schedule them so that if you have a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks where you just don't feel like it, you've got a backlog of stuff that'll auto post so that you can take a break and not worry, because it's an endless cycle. You worry that you haven't posted, which makes it worse that you're not going to post. So you worry back and back and back. So really good advice for him is to build up a backlog and schedule them.
Yeah, that's worked for me. I know quite a few of you, I'm sure, know South Coast Summit's happening next week. I've got a wedding this weekend, so I haven't got the next 2 weekends aren't blogging for me because I'm going to be out and about having fun. But yeah, I've managed to have enough time to stockpile a couple in advance so I can still release next Tuesday and the Tuesday after. Again, it still relies on that time up front to do those posts. And again, if you're in the position that Stuart's mentioned where you're putting too much pressure on yourself, I definitely need to put a backlog up. Don't. If it's not going to be fun, just leave it, man. Just take a step back and have some fun, take a step, and then come back fresher and stronger. Like with Stuart's post, it's taken a month to write it. Probably already looking forward to that. We know it's going to be high quality. Quite intrigued to see what it is. But yeah, it's coming from a different perspective. So yeah, backlogging post is good, but again, it relies on that time and that commitment, and it's still got to be fun at the end of the day. Can't stress that bit enough, right? Dan, put your hand up, mate.
Hey, Craig. Just a couple of things from me. I just want to say publicly, thank you for putting out the content, because I'm still quite fresh to the platform, and I can genuinely say that the content has been valuable. That's not me just blowing smoke up here. That is very much like I've read them, I've processed them, and learned something. So, someone fresh faced, it's been fantastic. And I think based on like my perception, so coming into the community, still quite new, there's a ton of blogs, ton of videos, a ton of people. And I think for me, it was more, who do you listen to, right? The community is wonderful, but it's so noisy. So the people that I've sort of engaged, and the people who I'd say I've stuck to, including yourself, I can name a few others, is because of how approachable they were. So for me, it was like, okay, they've got a blog, they do some videos, that's great. But if I do reach out and I have a question, like, are they going to answer it? Are they going to give me the time of day? The people I've kind of stuck with have been the people who've gone, yeah, no worries, I'll give you an answer, or no, come on, jump on a call with me, we'll have a chat about it. And they've become like my go-to people now, because there's been some big, who I'm assuming are big names in the community. I won't name them, but who I have reached out to, and they've not been so helpful, not been so polite, not been so friendly. And it's been like, oh, okay, maybe I won't engage those people anymore. And they are quite big names. But the fact that, someone like yourself, you took the time out to jump on a call with me, post something that was relevant to what I did, or answer some question, that's kind of like cemented you as one of my guys. So I guess the point being, to anyone who's sort of doing this blogging stuff, who wants to put out content, if you're that kind of person, that's definitely how you win someone like me over. So yeah, I think it's just being open and approachable. And I think that's, I'd follow in your footsteps, because at some point I want to be at your point. So the fact that you were so open for me, so approachable, is how I would expect to be with the next person, So I guess that's my point for everyone, really. Is like, if you're more approachable, then it works.
100%, dude. Yeah, and I take a lot of heart from that. Firstly, from your great comments, cheers, mate. But also, that's how I've tried to be, because that's how some people have been with me before and during my blog. Some of my blog posts, I've had MVPs block up and go, oh, this is a good post. Did you know you can do this? No, I didn't. And then I go back and go, did you know I could do this? And they'll go, no, you didn't, because they're approachable, even though they've got this status that a lot of them perhaps such high regard. Oh, they must know everything. Oh, they must be brilliant. They're an MVP. They're just people. And so long as they're approachable and they're willing to learn from you as much as you are from them, it makes everything so much easier. And when you're nicer, you make friends. And I can genuinely say, as a result of my blog, I've made friends. And I'm really excited to meet some of them next weekend, because I'm stuck down in rubbish Cornwall. You can't get anywhere very easily. So it's actually nice as a result of just a blog, me just putting out some articles. Dan, you're one of them. Parve's the same. It'd be really nice to meet you next weekend. And I wouldn't have had that network had I not have engaged with like-minded people that were approachable and were easy to talk to, because who wants that, right? In everyday life, whether it's work or whether it's trying to get your car fixed, if people are horrible to you, you don't want to spend the time with them. If people are nice to you, you're probably going to be nice back, and you're probably going to get some kind of engagement and a friendship out of it. And that, to me, if you want people to follow what you're doing, or people to like you or respect you, be nice. It's a very simple point of life, isn't it? So yeah, completely resonate that. That's what I will try to be, even continue if my blog gets more successful, even if it doesn't. I want to carry on being nice to people and helping them, because otherwise, what's the point? I wouldn't be where I am if people hadn't taken the time to give me the time of day. So I'd be pretty rubbish if I didn't do the same for other people,
Yeah, it's all about the person as it is about the content, right?
Yeah, man. I was just going to put perfectly what you've just said. My nan had a little plaque when I was a kid, which was, "It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice." And I just love that. I love that end-to-end phrase. Like, yeah, that is exactly right.
Yeah, hold on. Can't actually add any more to that. It's wicked. Yeah, I'm gonna remember that. Cheers.
Yeah.
Good.
Hi, I would put it in the chat, but Sarah disabled it. It's like,
Sarah.
Oh, me in Teams. I've got Q&A, guys. I don't know how to use chat on a meeting that's been set up like this. So if you pop it in the Q&A, there are some questions in there, actually.
Yeah. Oh, is there? All right. Yeah, cool. Fair enough, mate. How you doing, Parvez? Take a step, my man.
All right, thanks, mate. Thank you for that session. It was amazing. I mean, everything that's been said today, I was smiling and nodding through all of that. Completely agree with everything that's been said. It's just amazing how this community comes together, and we're all kind of on the same page with everything that's been said. It's amazing. I just wanted to thank you, firstly, Craig. You've inspired me to kind of give me that push that I needed to do the blogging I've started recently as well. I mean, I don't go at the same pace as yourself, but I think it'll start nonetheless, because I've been in this game for such a long time and I've learned so much from the community. I think it's only fair that I kind of start to give back now. So, and it's something I was thinking about for a very long time. And the words you've shared with me, I know we've had some private conversations and stuff. It's been amazing to kind of really give me that that push to do it. So yeah, just want to thank you for that. Yeah, and likewise, looking forward to see you next weekend as well. So I'm sure that's gonna be great. And people like Sharon's there as well, and she's always engaged with my posts as well. Charlie as well. I've had a great conversation with Charlie. It's just amazing to kind of engage with everybody. Ed is there as well. I know his blog has been amazing as well. So yeah, just want to thank everyone.
Yeah, cheers, dude. Thank you. Again, you're doing some awesome stuff as well. I think it's quite nice. This is the whole point of community. So for people that don't know, I was part of an engagement with where Ed and Parvers currently work, and as a result of that engagement, we start becoming, out of work friends, if you like. And as a result of those then interactions, I've then been talking to Parvers about starting his own blog. It's just amazing how making the most of those social opportunities to help other people. And it's funny we sort of talking about that thing. It's just something just popped in my mind. I'll be openly honest and say, for years, I thought that phrase that MVP said of "we rise by lifting others" was just a load of rubbish that they just said because they're an MVP. Be quite honest. But the impact that Lewis Baber and Chris Huntingford and others have had on me this year, I've then done that to other people, knowing who otherwise. It's not rubbish at all. It's wicked, because you can just say something so simple and so easy to someone that gives them a completely different lift to get them to where they want to get to. And I think that's really important. It's just you're just sort of passing that thing along, aren't you? It's I fully believe it now, and yeah, it's a wicked thing to see other people rising up. And then Parvez, Ed, Dan, you'll be in a position in a year's time, 6 months' time, where you're giving advice to other people that helps them rise and get to where they want to get to. And that's an important thing to keep remembering. I think it's wicked. Did you say some stuff in the Q&A, Sarah?
Yeah, can you see it?
If Teams decides to work, yes.
Okay.
Non-technical question. Any tips on how you make your thumbnails and branding? Canva. We have got a Canva subscription because my wife uses it for her business, so it's nice and tax deductible for us. I would probably recommend something like PowerPoint. You could probably do some funky stuff in. I know Laura Webb did a session at a previous Scottish user group that Charlie's nodded his head on. If you watch that back and see some of the cool stuff you can do in PowerPoint, you could probably recreate some of your thumbnails in there. I use Canva because some of the stuff is already kind of pre-canned. I think for WordPress, it has to have a certain dimensions of, I don't know, I can't remember now. So that's what I use. Branding, I don't know, I just like hot pink, so I'll just pick that. There's no branding secrets there. I like big bright colors. If you've seen kind of some of the stuff I've worked on in terms of power ups, I just like colors that are big and bright. So I did kind of think, though, I think there's an art to it in some ways. If you look at Matt Devaney, you always notice that he's got a blog out because he's always got a cat in it. So there was some thought where, oh, what shall I do? Well, I'm not going to put dogs in it because that's going to be a bit too much of a rip-off, right? But when I'm scrolling through a feed, I like stuff that's eye-catching because that makes me stop and go, oh, what's that? I'm going to look at that. So that's more kind of like, that was my branding inspiration, was like hot pink is probably going to make people sit up and go, oh, what's that? I'll have a look. There you go. There's my branding secrets. I haven't got any more. I've worked with some people that probably give us some good advice about branding, but yeah, over and above that, nice colours, silly pictures. Again, I think I got a lot of funny and positive feedback from doing stupid thumbnails. So I'm going to carry on doing that because it seems to work and no one else does it. So yeah, maybe that's part of my brand. I don't know, but yeah, Canva mainly. Thoughts on automated content powered by ChatGPT, as in automate my blog posts? Yeah, probably. I might do that. I'm not sure. It's an interesting thought, though, because with ChatGPT and other AI tools, actually, what is the need for blogs? Because you could potentially ask an AI tool and you're going to get the answers. But I always kind of think there's still that human element of, ChatGPT can give you some coded answers, but is it in the right context? Is it going to cover error handling? Is it going to cover accessibility? There's so many things that AI still does not cover. You look at all the great announcements out of Copilot this week. Wow, you can build an app with Copilot. Yeah, but does it do your tab index? Does it do accessibility labels? Does it do your standards? Does it comment your code? No, you're always going to need that human intervention, which is why I think we're always going to need people in the community to contribute, to take AI content and give it the human spin. So yeah, I might be able to automate some of my content, but I still think there'll be lots of things that we're going to have to kind of help the community with, especially in terms of looking at Copilot now, all the stuff it can do. There's potential for lots of legacy debt that's going to come in an IT departments. So there's an opportunity for us to kind of help people and companies to say, okay, cool, you've got all these amazing AI models. Here's what we can do to help secure your environments, to help put DLP in place, to help your makers make securely, where they're not just thinking about AI all the time, and they're actually using some of their own kind of intelligence and intuition to kind of build innovative solutions. So yeah, that'd be my idea for that. Anything else? I can't see anything else. If there is anything else, then can someone please call it out?
No,
Ideogram.ai is good for visuals. Oh, nice. Oh yeah, Ed. Hi, mate.
Hey, Craig. Hey, everyone. Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. I know a little bit broken record, but I did also want to say thank you so much, and also thank you, Sarah, for organising this. It's my first of these events, and it's been really great to join in. I've seen some familiar faces in the audience as well. Sharon, I think you also always respond to my posts, which is amazing. So thanks. But Craig, thank you, because as has been said, without you, you really did inspire me to sort of start getting involved with this. There were a couple of things you shared with me, which I thought might be useful to share on with the audience. The first thing was this thing around the content doesn't necessarily have to be like groundbreaking. That was a big light bulb moment for me when you kind of clued me in on that, because I was put off publishing things by thinking, hey, there's always a lot of sort of masterminds out there that are publishing sort of like, hey, we can change the world by doing this in Power Platform. And this idea that, hang on a minute, it is a building block situation, or hey, I work in an educational context, this is ways that we're leveraging it, in the educational space, and that might be sort of unique in comparison to other content. So that was really helpful when you shared that with me. The other thing I think you shared with me, which was good, was actually it's useful as a reference point. So sometimes I've actually found myself going to my own content when, earlier you said, there's that one key thing where I'm like, how do I do that? I always stumble on that particular item, and it's kind of useful to go back over your own content. And so that was a great tip as well. But keep up the amazing work. I think, Dan, you said that there's like so much content out there, which I completely agree with. I think it's really easy to get quite overwhelmed with the amount of content. So when you are able to sort of filter down on some really, really great content, I think that helps a lot. So Craig, your regular cadence has been really helpful, because I've known when to anticipate your next article. As a subscriber, I get an email in the inbox, which is brilliant, because I can sort of hone in on that. And Parvez, ditto with your ALM blog. I mean, before our engagement with Craig and Parvez, to be honest, ALM was a bit of a new thing for me, especially in the context of Power Platform. And this is just helping to broaden these horizons rather than, sort of be too niche or feel too overwhelmed with too much content. If you've got trusted people in the community and trusted content providers, and Dan, as you said, people that are willing to take that time and to be so approachable and encouraging, it really does feel like a community. So thank you very much for that, and very much appreciate it. And thanks for the branding tips, which we'll keep on lock. It's appreciated. So cheers all. Thanks.
Hey, welcome. Thanks, mate. No, it's been good to engage with you. Again, I know you're just starting out of your blog, but again, it's quality of post, and it's a context, like you say. There's not many people blogging about the Power Platform in education, and we know that's such a difficult market at the moment, with legacy debt, IT debt to fix, and to try and encourage this new wave of technology in. So you're in a good space to give context where other people can't. And I think that's really important. Again, you might be saying the same things, but actually, how does that help when you're managing a student database of 50,000 people? Some of the examples we have out in the community, like, oh yeah, do this with a SharePoint list of 10 users. All right, that's wicked. But when I'm working on my student database, that's not going to cut it. I need to do a different method. And you can get a lot of inspiration of taking those contexts and giving them to other people, because people will resonate with it. And actually, if you're in the education space and we're engaging with education-based clients, actually there's a blog there that I could share with a future client to say, hey, this person I work with in the community, I used to work with, he's got a blog specific around this. He might have the same challenges you have. So never discredit what you've got to say, have a voice, because there will always be relevance to it, man. So it's good. Hi, Sharon.
No, you have to. Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Oh, wonderful. It didn't work last time. I mean, thank you. I mean, you absolutely know what I think about your blogs. I mean, I absolutely love them. And you were responsible for me getting hands-on. So it was your blogs that actually got me to write. I'm going to actually try and do this along, because I remember one time you said, like, for those of you who are doing this alongside, and I'm thinking, okay, and it went completely wrong, but it was because of you that I actually started to spin up my first environment. So yeah, you're completely responsible for everything. Just a quick, before I ask my question, just a quick for whoever asked the question about the branding. The other thing is consistency. It's like, I know you like hot pink, but I immediately know because of the visuals that it's your blog, because it's like, the little icon is like bottom right hand corner. I never said bottom left hand corner. Bottom right hand corner. And like, there is a certain kind of like style to it each time, and I think that makes a big difference. So keeping it like so that there's consistency. So whatever your style is, yes, okay, it'll take you a little while to actually find what works, but once you've actually found that that neat spot, then keep to it, because people will go like literally. I mean, even though I know that you're, because I'm a subscriber, yours will hit my feed, literally, like, when I see it sitting there, first thing, sometimes when I sit, because sometimes for some reason your subscriber feeds come in later than your LinkedIn, then it comes into LinkedIn. So sometimes I don't know why, but sometimes I'll kind of like see it hitting the LinkedIn feed, click on save, and then, because it's immediately, oh yeah, I know immediately that this is Craig's blog. What I was going to ask is, I don't have the metrics that you have access to. Can you put in too many hashtags? I mean, I'm an absolute horror for this. I mean, I will kind of like think, okay, Dynamics 365, D365, Microsoft Dynamics 365. Does it matter to actually put every single connotation of Dynamics 365?
But yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? Because I think there's an etiquette thing somewhere that you can put in too many and it can screw around with the hashtags. So what I've tried to do is search for the hashtags that I would use and see how much content comes up. If it's loads, that's going to be a good hashtag to probably use. If it's not so many, I probably won't. Twitter's a nice and easy because you've only got a limited number of characters, and I'm not getting a blue tick. Elon Musk can jog on for that, as far as I'm concerned. So you've only got a limited amount of characters, so you can't put many hashtags in anyway. But yeah, it's a good point. I have read you can put in too many. I don't know how true that is, and I might test it at some point just to find out. But I also, when I'm typing on my phone, I get bored after about 5 seconds. I'm like, oh, that'll do. I can't be bothered listing out all these hashtags. But yeah, I think there's some actual sense into that, Sharon. So I haven't got any facts, but I've read it in a few places that you can drown and it'll therefore have an impact on how far your post can reach. So it's an important point to raise. I didn't think of that. Thank you.
I think it used to be 5 was optimum. I don't know if that's changed yet, but our marketing guy said 5 to me. I'll see if they know if that's been updated.
You used to get like a 3 times boost on your LinkedIn reach. This is LinkedIn I'm thinking about, where between 3 and 5 was optimal. But I think they've dropped it now. They've changed it now, where they keep changing the algorithm, so no one knows. A couple's good. 10's probably too many.
Yeah, it was like don't make any amendments to your LinkedIn post within the first 90 minutes. Else
that's changed. You can now amend, and it doesn't have a negative impact.
Yeah, and also like reply to any comments within the first 20 minutes. I think that was another one that I read as well. So but I mean, I must admit, on the replies, I personally, I very much feel if somebody whose content I'm interested into has actually gone to the effort of actually writing that content, then it deserves a reply. It deserves if I've actually found it helpful, then it deserves a reply, even if it's just a matter of actually saying this is what, because it's like, if people don't actually know that they've actually made a difference to you, it does stop become fun, doesn't it? Because you're not getting that like feedback loop. And yes, okay, the ticks and the likes are one thing, but it is, like you say, Craig, it is that like people actually engaging with you, and you feel that you've actually made that. So yeah, no, it does make a difference.
And even if it's not, sometimes those things don't end up becoming just about the blogs. You're not having like DMs and conversations carry on and then extend into something else just from having a comment on a blog. So yeah, it's always welcome. It's always nice. And I try and put comments on other people's stuff when I can. I'm not very good at it at times, because I spend a lot of my time actually blogging or with my family. So I don't look at too much of the content, but I try and engage as well, for the same reasons. Like, if someone's taken the time to do that, I'll try and take the time to read it if I can and make a constructive comment if I can. Sometimes my comments probably aren't constructive, so like I won't reply because I'll probably just think of something stupid or funny, which might not help. But yeah, I think it's important. I like those engagements, those little micro interactions. And again, it doesn't matter if my post has got, actually one of my posts that's got the least amount of reactions and likes has had the most amount of dialogue, which has helped people and made them think about something different. So again, it just goes to show that those reactions and stuff aren't the be all and end all. It's the impact that you can have with that content, and impact is largely shown by people who are going to engage in the comments and want to have a further discussion about that stuff. So yeah, it's always welcome. It's wicked.
Yeah, I have noticed some people will comment, but they then don't like. So they've replied to you, and you've had an engagement with them, but they've not at any point in time liked your post or your comments in the engagement, even though clearly you can see from what they've said that it's been a positive engagement. And I think it's just that for some, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or it's just the way they are. They just don't think of doing that. They don't know the way LinkedIn works, or for me, that's where I am. So yeah, it's very interesting. Something I'm discovering now. Again,
yeah, don't get hung up on those kind of things. I think that's what I did for my first few posts. It's like, this one's got 50 likes. Why has this only got 40 likes? What am I doing wrong? You can overanalyze those things to the cows come home. But actually, again, it's about impact, and that's what other people have helped. I've been mentored by. It's like, think of your audience and who you're helping. They might not want to like your post. I've got people that have subscribed to my blog that haven't liked or commented on a single thing I put on social media. It's just not what they do. But they're getting my content and they obviously like it because they've subscribed, which is amazing. I generally thought when I started my blog, my only subscribers would be my wife and my mum, and I got only 200. Like, that might not sound a lot to some people, but that's wicked. Those are the people that I care about. Those are the people that are going to extend my reach and help me improve my blog. If they don't like stuff on social media, I'm nowhere near as hung up about it as I used to be in May when I started, because I thought, oh, that's the be all and end all. Actually, it's not. It's those micro engagements you have with people. So yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? But you want the algorithms to keep improving, but at the same point, you want to make sure you're delivering impactful content that's going to help people. And if it helps one person, that's your job done. All good, right?
Absolutely. Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome. Dan, 2 slots on the floor.
Sorry, mate. I just saw all these questions coming up. No, I was curious, and this is an open question to everybody who's kind of got a blog or is putting content. So I imagine it's fairly easy to write at different skill levels, but do you ever or know of people who like target certain demographics, for example? Like, do you ever write to a certain age group or a gender? I don't know if that's too like I don't know if I'm overthinking it, but are there people out there who are writing just for women? Are there people there who write say like a more junior level, like Ed? Like, I'm sure you'll know plenty about this, but kids in school will start learning basic programming and build apps and things. Is there anyone out there who's actually targeting them groups? I'm just curious, like, because going down the whole content creation route myself soon, I'm thinking, well, where are the gaps, right?
Pranav Karana writes for kids, but his stuff is so great that we find it useful as well. And the initial stuff and the initial talks he did were around inspiring kids to get into it. Initially, mine was around people who are brand new to Canvas apps. Interestingly, I was quite new to Canvas apps at the time as well, and that's why I started writing about it. I would say it's worth doing if you've got a particular thing in mind, like whether it's education or the NHS or whatever. My most engaged post is actually the second one I ever wrote, where I built an app for Pokemon. It was just a fun app to demonstrate loads of different controls. I've actually rebuilt it about 4 times since then. I'm in the process of building it again. But it had like a kind of niche, and it was intended to be for young people. That's why I went with Pokemon, because it's quite a young market. And you'd be surprised. So there's no reason not to write for a particular sector, but don't focus so much on writing exactly for that. You'll find other people like it anyway.
Cheers, Stuart. Good to know.
Charlie?
Okay, good question.
Hi, Craig. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you, man.
Yep. No, congratulations on your super user status. I was just going to say that I appreciate a lot of effort goes into blogs. So one of the things that I tried to change when answering on forums and stuff is because I see a lot of people are just commenting and asking questions on forums because they want that quick answer. They can't be bothered to actually go and read the content, get all the knowledge behind it. So I've actually kind of changed some of my responses, that I know if someone's gone to the effort and they've actually blogged it, and not only is it just giving them the short answer, but they get all the learning behind it and the whole journey. I actually reference those blogs now and sort of, you know, there's your answer. If you want to go get your answer, go and actually spend 5 minutes reading this, learning it. So I just wanted to mention that that's what I do. And as an active super user, just maybe think about that. You know, you read a lot of other people's blogs and stuff. But, you know, I think you'll get a lot more attraction, and the more super users who can try and adopt that behavior, I just think it's better for everyone who makes all this effort into, you know, spending the time writing a good story and actually helping people learn end to end, not just giving them the short answer. Because otherwise you're just going to be returning to that forum all the time, asking your questions, you're getting quick answers, but not learning.
Yeah, 100%. It's that context, isn't it? You know, I think that's where content plays its part. Sometimes you do just want a quick answer, and I have my blogs where I just want that quick answer. I don't want the context. I don't care. There are times when I want to learn properly, and it's also that as a content creator, I don't know about anyone else on if you've been on the forums and you've answered some questions, it's taken me a long time to actually use my own blogs as part of responses on the forums. I feel like, does that come across a bit arrogant? Is that a bit weird? Am I allowed to do that? Like, I might still go and find a Reza Damani video to go, hey, here's the answer to your problem. 2334 of this video. This will give you some context. Watch the whole thing and learn. I don't know if I should be doing that with my own stuff, but actually, yeah, we should, because it's going to help their problem. And like you say, give them the context to go and learn. So when they face that challenge again, they understand, okay, here's your answer, but you've actually got to do these 3 things first to get to the position to write that bit of code or build that flow. Because I found on the forums that sometimes, like, right, okay, yeah, you've done that and you've done that, but you need to re-architect your whole app, and here's how to do it, so you're going to get it to work and be scalable. Yeah, it's important to reference work so people get in contact, man. Completely agree, and I'm finding that more and more as I answer a few more questions on the forums. Barbara, I'm sure you've seen the same. In terms of actually giving people that context to help them long term, not just for that one individual problem that they've got, right? Yeah, good tip, man. Thanks, Charlie. Barbara?
Yeah, so just one other thought on the topic of quantifying the engagement of your content, I guess. So I just want to make a comment to say that it doesn't always come just from the reactions and likes and comments that you get from your post, because there's a lot of people out there who are viewing your content and they won't interact in that way. They may reach out to you privately. So there's somebody who I've been talking to for a few months now about ALM. I'm just supporting them, you know, in my spare time for free, I guess. They never interact with any of my content, but somehow they've just reached out to me because they see me as some sort of person who's got knowledge on this topic. I don't know whether it's through. whether it's through my blog or my forum post or my comments in the WhatsApp community groups. I've got no idea. I've got no way of tracing that. They're just constantly, bombarding me with questions almost. But it's great because they kind of see me with that knowledge, and I'm able to help them out. So that's the reason why I just tend not to get too hung up on the quantifiable metrics that you get from your content.
The point I said earlier on about you can be today for someone what insert person's name here has been for you for the last. How did you learn about ALM Parvez? Oh, I looked at this blog and this. They were brilliant for you to get you to where you are now. Right place, right time. You put one blog post out there, and that's the first thing that one person finds on a Google search or through a feed, and naturally they're going to, oh, cool, that's what I need right now at this moment in time. Bang. Right, Parvez, you are my dude when it comes to ALM. I'm going to pepper you with all my questions. That's great, because then you become, I can see Ed like putting his thumbs up. It's like, yeah, I'm one of them. I think that's the beauty of content creation and putting stuff out there, and even just down to the forum posts. People, I've noticed that if there's someone who's answered a lot of solutions on the forums, people actually start tagging them, rightly or wrongly, in their own queries. Oh, they see this person, that person, they must know everything about the Power Platform because they've done 5 million solutions this month. They're the go-to people because it visibly, they're like, oh, they must know a lot. They are going to be the person they want to reach out to. It's not Reza Darani. He's on the forums, but no one tags him. They're looking for the person that's relevant to them now. So whether that's in education, whether that's in starting a new practice, whether that's ALM, right place, right time, isn't it? And I think make the most of that and then just kind of keep building on it. I think that's the really important part, right?
Yeah.
Wicked.
I think and I'm not a blogger. I don't have the concentration span to blog. Just about read them. But having been putting content out in terms of these VRTs for quite some time, I really liked your point, Craig, about having fun, remembering why you're doing it, because I can walk out into the office and people go, how many people came and how many people have liked your posts, and you can get a little obsessed with that. But actually, I'm doing this for this started in lockdown as something to do, to talk to people, right? And just create. I didn't know about Microsoft Community at the time. I got a real kick out of people learning. I know Stuart started doing his VRTs, and one person would get something out of it. And it'd be a solution architect to get something out of a junior developer about Power Automate. And I just got a real kick out of that because I thought even the big guys are learning something out of this stuff. I don't care how many people come. I know sometimes, you guys will go, how many do we expect? But we're doing it for the sharing, the creating community. You guys are friends of mine. We talk out of hours. But I do think on that note, again, coming back to Stuart, that point of being quite strict with not getting overwhelmed by it, because you can get a lot of people want to talk to you when you've got your face out there and you're putting your face out there and you feel obliged to get back to these people when you're playing with your kids or you're having dinner with friends. And my friends are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just getting back to a LinkedIn comment. And they're like, they don't know what I do. They have no idea. But it can get a bit too much. So I think you need to recognise when you need to take a break. That's just been my advice, because I've got to that point before where it's a bit much. Make the time, Craig. I think you may have some advice on that. You make time, I think, a little bit more strictly in your schedule.
I mean, I'm lucky. So, my wife works part-time, so she's cool because she says, right, on a Sunday, I can do whatever I want. So I do have a dedicated day once a week where I can just sit and blog. Sometimes I procrastinate and I just stare at my screen for 6 hours and then go and watch the racing. Sometimes I smash out 4 blog posts. It completely depends what my brain is doing on that particular point in time. I mean, that's the joys of neurodiversity. You just kind of, take the rough with the smooth. I'm lucky in that sense. But again, if it's a hobby that you enjoy, you find time to do it, whether that's once a week playing football with your mates, whether that's doing a bit of blogging, whatever it is, you can find the time. But again, it's all about balance, isn't it? And making sure, when I log on, when I log off now, my phone will stay upstairs. I'll go downstairs and play with my kid for a couple of hours. Not interested in anything to do with social media. When she's gone to bed, I'll pick it back up again. I'll engage with my comments. I'll do this, I'll do that. It's about finding balance. And I think that's another really important thing about content creation. It does help to be in a good spot in your life where you can kind of go, okay, yeah, I can do this, rather than doing one blog post and then like it just disappears into the ether along with the rest of your dreams. It's got to be something you want to do, but also you've got to have the time to commit to it, like any hobby or any finance, whatever it is. Just have the time to do it and commit and give it your best, because it's a reflection of yourself when you're putting stuff out there. You don't want a half-assed blog post because you're tired, you're ratty, because you don't really want to do it, and you rather spend time with your kids. Cool, don't blog then. Go and spend time with your family. Go and get that balance. Can't stress that enough. Balance, I think, is hard the older you get, because you don't get an even keel of everything, do you? Like, it's kind of a bit kind of lopsided, but yeah, balance is key. And again, we said it before earlier in the call, have fun. With lots of things we have to do that aren't fun. We have to work, we have to pay the mortgage, we have to do all this other monotonous stuff. So outside of work, do things that are going to put a smile on your face. And if it puts a smile on other people's faces at the same time, bonus, right? That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I really enjoyed that. Anyway, I kept wanting to kind of put in, but everyone just had such good points, so I kept my mouth shut till the end. But thanks so much for everybody who's made the effort to come along and contribute and put your cameras on, because yeah, I know this is something that's important to Craig, and it's and the rest of you as well. I hope you've all got something out of it today. And thank you, Craig, for your funny slides. But actually,
thank you for hosting as always. You know, without so many people have the opportunity to come and do these. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to come and do one. Like, without this, it's less voices for people to have. So yeah, thanks to you, mate.
Yeah, anytime. And as you mentioned, it's been recorded, so if anyone wants to share this or come back to it, it'll be on tomorrow. I think tomorrow afternoon it should be available.
Cool. Nice one.
Stuart's got. Are you clapping? I'll put your hand up, Stu.
Folks, it was supposed to be a clap though. Thanks very much, Craig. Have a good evening, folks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
cheers all. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Let me see everyone.